This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
Honey, happy vacation.
Happy vacation, my love. We are currently, y'all, sitting on our porch, patio, watching the ocean. Hun, I think this is how we should always podcast.
Yeah, the ocean's very healing for both of us,
Yeah.
so this is fucking nice. Do you want to jump into how yesterday was as far as our rituals of going around? There were a couple of big places of hurt. One was in like a jacuzzi tub, which is funny to say that, you know, the hurt came in a jacuzzi tub from a misunderstanding. The other one was right next to a certain place off of the pathway where we had another misunderstanding. There was a moment of underneath like a cabana. And then the very last one was like by the room when I left the room last year and you don't know where I was and you went into primal panic. Yep. So what we did yesterday and the day before is we we systematically just went over to those areas and we saged the areas to cleanse it. We declared what was the hurt and we gave thanks for, what did we give thanks for, babe?
I think the opportunities that each of those spaces presented us, the growth that came from them, the lessons that they taught us. I think my biggest takeaway was that each of these spaces could have just done us in. Like each of those memories are so painful to kind of sit with, and it could have been that we did many things. It's really okay. There's a bee on my toe right now. Bees love me. I need to know the meaning of honeybees because recently we've been buds. They love to crawl on me, drink my sweat drops. It's hilarious. Do you not like bees?
No, I don't want a honeybee on me. Honeybee, no,
they're
please.
So sweet.
No, thank you.
Sweet.
No, thank you. No solicitation, no.
We can go inside if you want to. You can stay with me. Yeah, I think, God, we spent time at each space really thinking about what did this offer us an opportunity to do. And for many folks, vacation can be hard and bad, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But we were able to say, not only did these spaces wound us, but we are not the same people today as we were last year.
Yeah, I agree. What would you say to the people that would be like, you're going around and saging space or Palo Santoing space and like saying words that sound stupid? What would you say to those people?
I think there's probably a lot of people who are like, you did what? I would say, okay, yeah, sure, maybe it's silly and stupid. But by that logic, so is brushing it under the rug and pretending that everything's okay and it didn't wound you. That's just as equally as silly. Like,
fuck yeah.
So I wondered if it would be painful. I wondered if it would be almost like stirring the pot and going back to old memories is what I wondered. If we would be like,
did you get
why
any
are we
of that
doing
yesterday?
that? No.
I got a little bit, the very last one.
Okay.
Where it was so much misunderstanding, so much confusing. This was like the final big hurt, and this was your biggest hurt on the trip.
Giant.
And it was right up there for me because it was so, it's like I can't do anything right. That was my feeling of how did we get to a place here? I can't do anything right. And it was so, because we went to sleep not touching each other, it was like we were strangers. Why did we come back here? If there was so much hurt from last year, why did we choose to come back?
I think, I'll speak to my reason, and then I'd like your reason. I think we said this a little bit on the last podcast that we did before we came, is, for me, spaces don't get to hold that kind of power over me. It wasn't this that did it. It was, we had some rude awakenings before we even left on vacation. We had some experiences that opened us up to another level of ourselves. And I didn't want, this place is beautiful. You worked so hard to research this space. It is truly phenomenally beautiful. And I wanted to reclaim it and to be like, no, you don't get to have that power over me. But that's my answer. What's your answer?
That's beautiful. I love that. And we also had a lot of really, really good memories here. And then 2 years ago on our honeymoon, we spent it here in the DR, Dominican Republic. Yeah, I love that.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, it's
lovely.
affordable. We can do a direct flight out of, there's a lot of logistics and practicalities, and they take care of us really well and all of those things. So
yeah,
it's mostly good memories. And I love what you said, where it's like that doesn't get to hold that weight over us. I love that.
No, like, I think it's interesting. I think trauma-informed perspective would say that it could be that my body was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not interested in doing it. That's too much. I don't want to do that. And if I was at that point, those are our friends. That's C and B that we met yesterday and threw a football with. That's they.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for them in the mornings.
Let's put it this way. We have the tools. We filled our tool belt with tools over this past year to come back and do what we did today. Or yesterday. If we didn't have those tools, I don't know if we could have done this. If we had wounded each other in the ways that we did last year and had ignored it and had continued to just, like, I don't know, soldier through our partnership or, I don't know, ignore it, disassociate from it, I wouldn't have been able to come back here. But we are not the same people. I wanted to come back here to thank the spaces. We're not the same people that we were last year because of the things that happened last year. And that's what we got to say at the last most painful place. We got to say that I have a lot of wounding in my life done by people in male bodies. None of them have done what you did, which is say that was not my intent, and I am going to do my work. I'm going to trust you to do your work, and we're going to do our together work to figure out how to never make this happen again, and to right it, and to make it right between us and in my body. And I've never had anyone do that, and I think that seems like the biggest gift yesterday as we were going around to all these places. I was like, oh my God, I have healed a wound that I couldn't have even named before, and that is that we are going to be wounded in this world. But what is truly remarkable is that when we can repair a wound and restore and become stronger, better versions of ourselves. And the men who have wounded me in similar abandonment ways was what the trigger was. You left the room to go take some alone time, but there was no communication about that you were going, and I didn't know where you were. You had left your phone in the room, and it was after a disagreement. And my body went full on primal panic. I've been abandoned, and I've had that wound before. No one's ever repaired it.
This was a big catalyst for me for, I need to do some work or I'm going to lose my marriage.
Yep.
It was a huge catalyst, this trip. And then we've spent a year doing the work that is ours to do and then gaining tools. So we've gained a whole shit ton of new vocabulary, new tools for us to, when we feel disconnections or when we're disconnected, we can come back together more quickly.
I think that we have both grown in such emotional intelligence and also awarenesses of, I think of the pH scale, the abandonment, if one of us moves towards agency, autonomy, the extreme is isolation. And then if one of us is moving towards connection, the extreme is fusion or enmeshment.
That's Jessica Fern's. Great.
I don't even know what she calls it. Oh, the distancer pursuer dance. We've talked about it on a different podcast. And I think we were both able to use tools like, oh my God, you said yesterday, I went to isolation, right? What I was craving was agency, autonomy.
Last year I went
what
to
I did
isolation.
last year was go to that. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I do think in my journaling practice yesterday, after we did our whole reclaiming ritual, I was able to say, you know what, yes, that was really scary and sad and horrible. And also, yeah, what came up was, this feels horrible. And what's even more grievous is I won't be doing this. So if this is not something that he cares to work on his end, I'm not able to restore, our marriage is done. And that was also very grievous.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to really talk about today was, I've learned so much since last year on how we fall in love with the projection of someone, not who they actually are. And I was asking you, as we were floating around somewhere a couple days ago, do you think last year was the moment when our projections of the other started to fall away? And we got to see, for the first time, the truest, like glasses coming off versions of one another? Or do you think we had seen that before? Because it was some of the questions that came in and some of the things that I observe in others, is that there's kind of some moments where we're like, why aren't you the same person you were when we first met?
For me, no. Because, I mean, babe, you're my dream woman. And then when you are in unhealth, or when you want something that doesn't align with what I want, you don't manipulate me. I have a lot of female wounds from my mother, where there was a lot of shouting down, there was a lot of anger, there was rage. I don't know if it was a lot of manipulation, but it was definitely like, you will do what I say growing up. You don't go to those things to get what you want. So it wasn't a deterioration of because when I hear projection of I put you up on this pedestal and this is what I want, or this is you on your best behavior. So no, not for me. For me, it was, you got to see my ugly last year. Mm-hmm. And those are versions that I want to keep hidden away, because they're so, you can deteriorate a relationship. And so I learned at a very young age to hide those things and keep them hidden, or just put them on yourself to not deteriorate the relationships that are most important to you. Because that's all I saw from my mother with her friends and her most intimate relationships. They all were deteriorated because she hit somebody with so much ugly so quickly. Did that answer your question?
No, but I have a follow-up question, because that was so beautiful. Was it at all healing, now in retrospect, to do something similar to what your mother would have done? To yell fuck really loudly, not in my direction, but at me, right down. You looked down, but it was targeted towards me.
Yeah.
And then do the repair to keep the relationship.
That was healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. To do the repair was the healing part. The yelling at the time, no, that was very shameful.
Yeah, I know.
And I named that yesterday when we were doing our ceremony, of the shame that I felt.
Yeah, but you repaired it.
Yeah.
And took accountability for it, and owned what was yours to own. I don't think that we should be in relationships where people verbally abuse us. I don't think it's safe.
No thanks.
No thanks. And I also think there's a clear differentiation between violations and accidents. And that it is of utmost importance that if we accidentally do something out of character for us, such as yell, that we do the work to repair that. And that sometimes looks like gaining more tools, which leads us to another question. I don't know if you answered my original question. I don't actually care. Somebody said, because we speak often about our incredible coach, mentor, guide, and how often we have utilized her this year. And one of our peeps said, have you always been pro therapy, coaching, mentoring? No, that was their question.
For me, yes. I got exposed to therapy at a very young age when my mom and dad were going through divorce. So as a child, yeah, I was in therapy, and I trusted the man. I don't remember his name, but I trusted the man that was my therapist. And then I relate therapy to coaching and mentorship, where the whole purpose of having coaching and mentorship is to cut your learning curve. That's why we have coaches, where it's like, hey, I learned this way, or I made a lot of mistakes, do it this way. So I'm big on that.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating because there are so many people in male bodies who are horrified of it. I think we did a whole podcast on it once.
It's very vulnerable, and then if you're only exposed to it, say as an adult, it can be vulnerable, and then maybe somebody fucked with you, like therapists.
Yes.
They're not all fucking...
No.
They're not all gems.
No.
So a big one of my best friends was like, she's in therapy now, and one of the things that's so healing to her is her new therapist says, you don't have to repair your relationship with your mom, where all the other ones are like, oh, you need to repair your relationship with your mom. It's, well, yeah, but what if she's a fucking not safe person? So...
And repair takes two people.
Yeah,
like,
repair's a two-way
that means
street.
the mom needs to do the work too, which would be lovely.
Yeah, and then if the mom's a manipulative asshole, like what's... So yeah, I'm pro coaching. Any... Can we go over the questions from the internet?
Yeah. The first one was, have you ever... Yeah, has Trey always been so pro coaching, counseling, all this kind of stuff?
Yes, I recommend it for men. I recommend it highly for, everybody actually. Particularly men, particularly if you're resistant to it. I would ask you to kind of lean into why. And then I'd highly recommend it. And then you find somebody that you click with, vibe with, that's safe for you, that's going to give you the tools to help.
And let me say, y'all, as a person who is pseudo in this space, as coach and educator, I highly recommend that you view first few sessions as you're also interviewing them. It is okay to meet with somebody once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, any amount of times, and say, nope, you're really not a fit for me. I don't feel safe in your presence. I tell every single one of my clients that trust is earned through trustworthy behavior. And especially after the intake, I tell them that it is a standalone. If we leave the intake that they do with me and they, for any reason, feel, no, it doesn't sit right in my body, they absolutely need to make an embodied choice to not work with me. And that is just as much of success. That means that they have listened to their own intuition. And I am not everybody's cup of tea. I am not. I have certain methodologies. I center agency over longevity of relationship, that type of thing, because I truly believe if we heal ourselves, we can heal the world. And that is not safe to do with every single relationship. So I am very pro counseling, therapy, coaching, and you get to decide if somebody is unsafe for you. Leave. Okay. Next question was, did you have periods in your early partnership of disconnect? And tips on working through this?
Yes, I would say yes, and I would also say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, where when you felt disconnect, you would morph into the person that doesn't want to disconnect from their partnership. Yeah. We read this quote on a recent podcast, but the whole premise is that what most of us think love is not love at all. It is a desire to remain attached. And so what I am really noticing about myself in real time over the past month since I've been in these certain classes with depth psychologists is that Lauren wants to feel attached. And so one of the ways that I do that is dismiss and avoid my own feelings and needs so that I can, in my mind, make Trey more comfortable. And so the moments of disconnect we would have was when I would not communicate something and Trey would be so confused, or I would morph into someone else, or someone who had no needs, or someone who was trying to placate. And
Yes, we definitely had moments of disconnect early on where I couldn't read Trey's mood or behavior, and I would want to basically fuse with him.
Baby, is it okay if we go inside?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
worried
worried
about the
that the
sound.
rain. Yeah. Guys, it's raining. It's beautiful. We're moving. We're on the move. I'm gonna need a blanket. It's gonna be so cold in here after being outside in the tropics.
What's the next question, my love?
Do you two want any children together?
We have a 14-year-old that we're raising together. I am the stepdad, and Lauren is the biological mama. And as far as babies, no. Yeah, we've made a pretty conscious choice to not have babies, to the extent of where I got a vasectomy.
Yeah, there's a fun episode all about that.
There's a fun episode about me getting stabbed in the penis. And so no. Mm-mm.
I just kicked a table, y'all. Sorry if you heard that in the background.
So yeah, no kids right now.
Yeah, I think, do you want to talk a little bit more about how you never were interested in being a biological father?
Mm-mm.
No?
No. Mm-mm. No, I've got the baby, our child, and then I do big brother, big sister. Mm-hmm. So I've got a little brother, and he's a little shit, and I love him lots. So I get to do those things, and yeah. But like as far as like a little baby, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
People might be asking because my background's in maternal health, and also sometimes a second marriage is a chance to kind of redo some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely have told Trey that what I wish more than anything is that I could transport him back to the time where I did give birth and then struggled immensely with postpartum depression and anxiety, because I think, God bless my ex-husband, he had no tools, and instead he was getting drunk every few days and having parasomnias, and I was all alone.
You were an infant.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I wish I could go back and
Yeah.
I could be your husband,
Yeah.
and wish I could go back and put a baby in you then.
Yeah. And I wish I had this glorious birth at home in my cow trough by my fireplace, and I wish Trey could have experienced that power in me. That's something that I wish he could see. And my incredible 14-year-old is 14 and in her freshman year of high school, and we're so enjoying that stage with her and ready to celebrate her moving into adulthood and to embrace that season of life. And we love babies, though. We have friends who have babies, mm-hmm. and we love playing with their babies and holding their babies and cuddling their babies, and yeah.
And then we get to give them back.
We do.
We get to give back the babies.
Trey would be an amazing, amazing father, and it is a joy times 10,000 to watch him act in a parent role in the baby's life, my 14-year-old baby's life. Yeah, but no babies together. Next question. Do you struggle with jealousy when Trey watches porn? How did you normalize porn after leaving the Christian faith where it's very not okay? So it's kind of a two-parter. I guess it's for me. Ironically, we watched porn together last night. Guys, at resorts like this, it's always so comical to us because you like turn on the TV and it's on the like, welcome to the something something Punta Cana. And so it's like the infomercial channel for the line of resorts. Then if you go up, you go to like channel number 1 and it's just normal TV. But if you go down, channel number 50, whatever, it's always a porn channel.
It's my favorite thing in the world where it's the promo for the resort and then you click down and it's just a giant cock. Always, without fail, just one big cock. So we watched porn last night. How do you struggle with it, honey?
I don't struggle with it anymore. It's so interesting because I was just telling a client the other day about my different explicit, latent, and body-based beliefs chart that we work on if somebody becomes a client of mine, and how porn has been one of the longest, one of the things that has taken the most healing, because absolutely, as this incredible listener is stating, it is viewed as incredibly not okay. inside of the Christian faith, and for the reason that it's going to destroy your relationship. And I just was giggling over the past few days whenever we've flipped it on, and we've talked about male gaze, we've talked about the viewer, we've talked about the angle, we've talked about the lens. We have laughed hysterically at the uncomfiness of these people in female bodies who are just adoring these penises, and how their pleasure is not centered at all.
Oh, we're making fun of it. 90% of the porn that we've watched, we've been like, okay, can we get her a pillow? It's snowing outside.
It's snowing.
Why are her breasts out?
What is going on? And they were not even attended to. There was no attention to the breasts.
No, they
were just
out.
Out.
Yeah, so it's male-centered porn, and it's just kind of gross. We did catch a nice wave last night where there was a lovely woman, and the man was going down on her, and she was making lovely sounds. And so we had some sexy times, none of your business.
But I was the one who said, oh, this is actually turning me on. Now I want something
because
similar.
It was just a woman who seemed to be enjoying being gone down on. It was nice.
You couldn't even see anything, really, except some boobs.
The Playboy channel, there's no penetration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no penetration on the Playboy channel. Then the other channel, there's nothing but penetration.
Venus channel, yeah.
Let me ask you this, baby. Are you okay with me watching porn by myself, like in the basement? And how have you become okay with that?
Yeah, I think what we have talked about extensively is that it is not porn that hurts relationships. It's secrecy, it's deceit, it is using porn for one's singular sense of sexual fulfillment when there might be an opportunity for repair and connection inside of one's chosen partnership. Porn could be an avoidance because an orgasm feels so good. So porn could be used like any other coping tool. So if one is using porn as a coping tool consistently, well, then I have some bigger questions I need to be asking, which is this person deserving of partnership with me?
I'm the porn watcher in the house, actually exclusively. I'm the porn watcher in the house. And
again, I'll watch on like vacation or something like this. I'll sometimes watch because I have a few wonderful sites of ethical porn that I adore that I will send to clients. And so sometimes when I am going through and finding a video that I think would be really appropriate for them to use literally as a learning modality, I'll watch some. But no, it's not my biggest go-to.
So yeah, I'm the porn watcher. I don't hide it. I don't use it as like a crutch. Ooh, I don't use it as a tool of like if we get into a fight and then I go jerk off, like fuck her or something like that. I've heard of other couples doing that, which is like wild. I acknowledge that it's fast food.
Yep, that's what I was gonna talk about next.
So yeah, I don't get my nutrients from porn, or excuse me, I don't get my nutrients that way. I get my nutrients from you, and then it's fun for me.
Yeah.
So it's not a and it's not hidden in my house. And then if there was a big, hey, I don't feel comfortable, I'd need to honor that.
Especially if it was like a seasonal thing or something. Yeah, but I would try not to do that because...
But I like porn. I like watching porn. It's fun.
Yeah. Why so? Why fun? Let me talk a little bit more about the fast food thing. So what I try to encourage clients who are coming out of like a Christian faith or a world in which they don't like porn. And I also have clients, y'all, who have really just decided that they don't align ethically with porn. And if that is you, that is okay. It is really okay. It might be a part of your story. It might be that you cannot believe, in your deepest soul, that this feels ethical for all people. And if that is your alignment, I want you to stand by it. I do have some fun books for you to read. But I have clients who have really just decided that it doesn't align with them ethically. And to them, I celebrate. I really do. And I would say that these are values conversations you need to be having early on in partnership, if that is your stance, to find someone who aligns with you ethically and on your values there.
How does it align with us where it's okay?
Because I've done a lot of work, which this answers the second part of that person's question, to really study the history of those in the sex work trade. And to really, really learn from sex workers and really stand in allyship with them. Yeah. So I really had to find a value, because I'm a very values-based person. This cannot just be visual eye candy for me.
Why doesn't it bother you that I'm downstairs in the basement just pleasuring myself and like orgasming to porn? Is it ever like, I want that orgasm or I get that?
Two different things. One, I love that I am not obligated to fulfill your every sexual need, because that would be horrible, and I don't want to do that.
So it's a burden.
Yeah. I have a job that I love. No, don't want that. So if I don't want that, if I don't want to feel obligated to sex, well, then I have to ask the next question, which is Trey's masturbatory practice celebrated in my home? Because if I'm not obligated to have sex with him anytime he'd like an orgasm, well, what then? Okay, well, I can celebrate a masturbatory practice for sure. Well then, okay, is he allowed to use visual stimulants or fantasy or erotic literature, stuff like this? Well, yeah. Then what would be the reason why I wouldn't like it? Well, the reason why I wouldn't like it is I'll never be those women, right? Watching the porn that's readily available here. My boobies are, we call them pocket-sized titties. I love my pocket-sized titties. They are not whatever size boobs these women have on porn channels. Yeah, and what that gets to is releasing and healing any internalized misogyny that I have of, wait a second, what if these women deserve to get to be as beautiful as they are? And what if I am fully enough, but only enough? What if I don't need to be a 55-year-old redhead? What if I get to be the 39-year-old brunette with pocket-sized titties that I am? And what if that's enough? And what if I could celebrate and delight in the bodies of these other women and their delight and pleasure? Now, what I have issue with, honestly, is what we've been watching on TV here, is these women pretending to enjoy being on the ground in the freezing cold with their boobs out, loving to slobber all over this cock. I'm like, that I have issue with, because it is sad.
Yeah, and then for me, like, third wall is easy for me where they're paid to do a job.
I hope so.
Well, that's work.
Yeah.
So they're paid
yeah.
to do a job, and that's their
Agreed.
profession. And I don't find this hot or
Right.
sexy. So, but some people do, and great.
Great. And exactly. If we were to say, no, these women are hopefully earning good money doing this, yay. And that is why I will tell my clients, you should be paying for the porn that you see. Or some, we really should be.
We're Ursies.com.
Yes, because you want to know that they're paid. Or in a channel like this, these performers were paid.
Correct.
And yeah, I don't know, I've just really, in my old age, been like, wait a second, what if I just love women, and what if, yes, this is fast food in a way that, like, Trey can love Chick-fil-A, but also love, you know, some of our favorite local spots inside of our small town. And Chick-fil-A is not going to replace a 5-star dining experience.
Cool.
Ever.
Love it. We got any more?
Yeah, we do. God, spam calls. Lighting up my phone these days. Trey, are you available to help with fantasy football questions from our listeners, should ever they need?
100%. And also, I'm one man, and it's just my opinion, and it's most likely wrong, but 100%.
How long have you been doing fantasy football, though? We don't really talk about this.
Competitively, this is 16 years. And then
How much do you love it?
I love it. It's my stock market. I love it so much. One of my processes now is I watch all of the games in a condensed version. That doesn't mean I know more than anybody else, but I have an opinion. Yeah. Based on film, based on me watching film.
He loves it.
It's my favorite thing.
Are you ready to be done?
No, what's next?
He's giving me ready to be done vibes. What's your favorite thing about how each of you have grown this past year?
All the tools, all the first 15 minutes of this podcast, or 20 minutes of all the tools that we've gained based on our hard seasons. Based on, I have to change or I'm going to lose my relationship with my wife, and I don't want that.
I love that was the impetus for your changing. Are you happy with the changes that you've
100%.
experienced in yourself?
I'm more faceted. I have more tools now. 100%.
Does that feel good?
Fuck yeah, it does. To have fucking tools to get out of like sticky situations? Yeah.
We are not the masters, but boy oh boy does it feel fun when we are in a sticky situation. I love that you said a sticky situation. And like your birthday, when your wife decided to bring up some hard shit. And we had so many tools.
And then we got out of it in a couple of hours.
A couple hours.
We were back together. We were back connected within a few hours. Was it hard? Yes. And then we were back connected within a few hours. And we have even more boundaries of like, hey, we can't do this with booze.
Yes.
On an empty stomach, sipping a Bloody Mary, can't do this with booze.
Don't want to. Yep.
We can't have hard listenings with booze.
Yeah, what's my favorite thing about how we've grown? That's such a good question. I'm more in love with him than ever before. You know what? I'm more in love with myself.
You're a woman to me that stands in her agency, and you're a more powerful woman now than you were a year ago.
Yeah.
And like, what a fucking turn on.
Because that's what I was about to say is I'm more turned on by you. But then I was like, no, I think I'm more turned on by you because I'm more turned on by me.
Yes.
I am like, this is what I am worthy of, which then causes me to enter into a relationship with you with more respect and more agency, more clarity, even though, yes, shit time to bring up the stuff. I'm actually not upset that I did because I know why I did. I was telling you a couple days ago while we were here that, no, we had some sex when you got back and then the morning of your birthday, and I could tell I was doing it a little bit out of obligation and that I was disconnected, and that is not okay. I could wait no longer.
And the timing was my biggest issue was not that, hey, it's now, it's why did it wait if it happened 3 days ago?
Of course.
And that was my biggest thing. And then the second biggest thing is like, I don't accept that there was no time for you to do it.
Right.
I understand it was awkward and hard and you were busy. No, that's not how we operate. We can send a text message, we can get on FaceTime, we can make a sacred 5 minutes for fucking anything always.
Right.
Always. There's nothing more important than that.
So do y'all see what he was most upset about was that we had not had this conversation earlier?
When it happened Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was Sunday now.
Yeah.
Or Thursday, whenever it was.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was multiple days.
Because I have worked so hard on these tools of being able to stand in agency, I can hear that, right? Not hear, oh, you're in trouble now. No, I can hear Trey's wound, and that the thing that he was most disappointed with is, I wish we had had this earlier. I wish we had restored relationship earlier, because I do not like that I didn't have the agency to engage in this earlier, that you were sitting there hurting or upset or angry or whatever, fearful that we were going to do this or that. Next time I want more choice, right?
Okay.
Just cool. And what I have learned literally only recently is that my desire to keep Trey comfortable, not have this hard conversation while he was away, is my anxious attachment style, is my wanting to keep attached. Can't do it.
Yeah, my desire to like be kept comfortable, in my body, it's don't placate me. Like that doesn't feel good.
Right, because it's robbing of agency.
Yeah, and then it's robbing you of power. And then I just need you in your power because I need to be fucking horny for a powerful woman. I want to be done vibes. I keep pointing to her phone. I go, next question. I want to be done vibes. I want to go play.
You know, what my professors have brought up recently is that those of us who call ourselves empaths, which you and I both are, which is what I did earlier, right? I could feel Trey's I want to be done vibes. I am starting to declare them earlier. I felt it. And then I dropped into, but it's not mine to fix. I do feel it. And also, I am an equal partner in this podcast, and we can be done when both of us want to be done.
Love it.
I am feeling in Trey's body. He is so ready to be done. But what I have done in the past is, okay, we can be done.
And then you're mad at me for it.
And then I am mad at you for it, because I'm like, I had questions I wanted to get through, this, that, and the other thing. You're like, why didn't you say it in the moment? And I'm thinking, because I wanted to keep you comfortable, which is the same thing. Yeah. It's this placating.
And then my job is to actually hear you, and then my internal thing is, Trey, slow down. Be patient. Give Lauren the respect that's required.
Yeah.
So I'm not tolerating enduring. Now it's time for me to actually go, zoom. I hear you, I acknowledge that, and also, yeah, I can slow down too, because this isn't a Trey show right now. I love that. Thank you, baby.
Thank you. But it takes me standing in it, right? And saying, hey, this is what I observe. Yeah. So yeah, a thing I love most is how I am more me than ever before, which is always what our relationship has given me, is I see more of me.
Keep pushing into that, especially when it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Keep pushing into that, and don't be afraid to hurt me, to hurt my feelings, because we have the tools to repair. And then I have the tools to ask questions and go to curiosity. I don't want to shout you down. I don't want to say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't want to dismiss your stuff. I don't want to tolerate and endure and be like, I don't want to do that stuff. I just want to ask questions and be curious and give you the space to grow into the powerful woman that I know you are.
I think we went to this Wheel of Consent training a couple months ago too, and one of my favorite quotes by Robin was this idea that we negotiate in the third domain, that relationship is this third domain. And so by me sensing that you were reaching your edge, your limit of podcast time, and me saying, hey, I see that you're almost done, and yet I have desires too, then we get to negotiate the limits out here. I don't want you to endure and tolerate. So it could be, hey, 5 more minutes? Hey, 1 more minute?
Great.
And then we negotiate to the place that feels good for both of us. But that takes me saying, I want.
Yeah.
I get to feel your wants is one thing, but what do I want? It's important. So I think that's one of my favorite things about myself. Final question was, what was the biggest unexpected challenge for you coming out of your faith? Okay, well, this was just a me question. So you can check out if you want.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm going to go take a peek. I'm going to take a tickle. Goodbye.
Biggest unexpected challenge, loss of community, conditional belonging, having to be more alone than I had ever been, and wrestle with this idea of, were they all right? Because what you will be led to believe is that the big scary world outside of a singular view of faith, outside of religiosity, is going to be painful and mean, and you only get this kind of community inside the church body. And when you lose the community that was conditional upon your behaving and belonging, it does feel like that. So you're like, they're right. I will never have belonging again. But the more I know, the more I got to know myself, the more I got to fall in love with myself and to put her on display and let her light shine, I was able to attract the type of friendships and relationships and partnership that I truly was deserving of. And I think one of my favorite things, this wraps into all of the questions, that has come out of Trey and I healing this past year has been the depth of our relationships, our human relationships. And on his birthday and my birthday this past year, we got to look around at the community that we have built. And so this idea that you'll lose community if you leave the Christian faith is a lie from the pit of hell. You just might lose it for a little while, and then when you find out who you really are, you get to present that and then find a community that revolves around that. So yeah, that was the biggest unexpected challenge, but boy, oh boy, do I love the community we have now. Let's wrap this up, babe. How did it feel to do an audio-only podcast?
Awesome. Love it.
I loved it. Great. Thanks for coming to this episode of the Partnership Podcast. Trey's doing the cue that he always gives me with Lauren and Trey. Please remember that these are our opinions and our opinions only. You have a right to self-determination and informed decision-making. Please take what you like, leave the rest. Remember, I am not a therapist. I am a certified holistic sexuality educator and an embodied intimacy coach. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that juiciness, and maybe, just maybe, we'll podcast 1 or 2 more times while we're here, because this was so easy. We'll talk about some of the fun things. Yeah, because we didn't even talk about how yesterday was the best day on earth. Oh my God, what a magical day. Anyway, bye guys.